Hi, I'm Billy Lane. I'm glad to be sharing with you again passage from scripture for our meditation today. And our passage is from Proverbs chapter 1, verse 20 through 33. I'll share here in the screen so you can follow. I'll read it. And it's the call of wisdom. Our text for this Sunday goes back to wisdom and teaches us about wisdom. And it says like this: wisdom cries out in the street. In the squares, she raises her voice. At the busiest corner, she cries out. At the entrance of the city gates, she speaks. How long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing and fools hate knowledge? Give heed to my reproof. I will pour out my thoughts to you. I will make my words known to you. Because I have called and you refused, have stretched out my hand and no one heeded. And because you have ignored all my counsel and would have none of my reproof, I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when panic strikes you. When panic strikes you like a storm, and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then they will call upon me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but will not find me, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, would have none of my counsel and despised all my reproof. Therefore, they shall eat the fruit of their way and be sated with their own devices. For waywardness kills the simple, and the complacency of fools destroys them. But those who listen to me will be secure and will live at ease without dread of disaster. We live in a time of much information and knowledge and intense intellectual development. But does that mean that we're becoming smarter? Does that mean that we're becoming wiser people? Some years ago, Nicholas Carr published a book called The Shallows: What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains. In this book, he says that there's a growing number of researchers have been showing that we are becoming more distracted and even dumber. In a similar way, Mark Barline, in the book The Dumbest Generation, suggests that we are about to go into an era of a new era of dark ages. Dark ages is the word that usually refers to the medieval time, and it's very ironic to think that with so much development, scientific development, and knowledge and information, we are becoming people less wise and more shallow. The amount of information and knowledge that we have today may help us in a very practical ways, how to solve certain things, how to deal with certain situations. But it's also true that so much knowledge is not making us people wiser. much less more capable of dealing with all sorts of challenges, decisions, plans, relationships, crises, and mistakes. This is probably because it takes more than knowledge and information for a life of quality. Today, this is mainly stressed by what has been called emotional intelligence. You might have wondered, how did my grandparents do this or that? They didn't have all this knowledge that we have today. Well, maybe they had other source of knowledge and wisdom to handle the situations that they faced in the past. In a biblical perspective, this is accomplished by a godly living. And the way to a godly living is to obtain wisdom. So this passage is an invitation, is a call of wisdom, or we may say call to wisdom, to a wise living. And it's the initial invitation of the book of Proverbs for wise living. And I see in these verses at least three significant ideas for our reflection this morning. I see a call. There's obviously the call of wisdom. There's a refusal to this call. And there's also description of the outcome of this refusal, or the outcome of accepting this invitation of wisdom. As you may notice, wisdom is often personified. That is, it's represented as a person, and usually as a woman. And it cries out inviting all to listen and follow it. Sometimes in Proverbs, it refers to the listeners as my son or my child. So it is this passage. With this passage, wisdom cries out in the street, saying, "Give heed to my reproof," as we see in verse 23. It's a call to a life of wisdom, a life of discernment. The life of wisdom is usually contrasted with foolishness. Proverbs typically contrast the wise and the fool, or the righteous and the wicked. We see this in Psalm 1 also. Psalm 1 pictures this contrast between two paths or two ways, the way of the righteous and the way of the wicked. And it says in verse 6, Psalm 1, "The Lord watches over the righteous, but the way of the wicked will perish." Differently from the call of the prophets, for example, the call to repentance for the sins of idolatry, of social injustice and wickedness, the call of wisdom is a call to understand the fear of the Lord, is a call to understand righteousness and justice. We see this in Proverbs chapter 2, verse 5 and 9, a call to discernment. In a sense, it's not a call to conversion, but a call to growth or to maturity, and above all, to acquire a mindset that comes from the Lord and his teachings. Or putting a different word, it's called to a good, godly common sense. It's a call to see things as the Lord sees it, or to assess all the dynamics of life in view of God's commandments, the Torah, the law. So It involves being able to apply the truth and teaching of the law in our daily life. In this sense, it not only counters a foolish life, but also a legalistic way of applying the law. So, for example, if the commandments say, you shall not murder, a foolish and wicked way is to despise the commandment and have no respect to human life. A legalistic way considers only the objective act of taking one's life as a transgression of this commandment, killing somebody. Now, a wise person sees in this commandment not only a call to preserve and honor human life, but also, as Jesus puts it in the Sermon on the Mount, an exhortation against hating other people. So this is the way of wisdom, is not only to apply in a legalistic way the law or despising the law, but understanding, discerning its teaching. So the call to wisdom is character building. It shapes our character in all areas of our lives, in all that involves our lives, our relationships, our relationship with God, our relationship with others, and our relationship with ourselves. And we could say that we don't need in the world more religious people. As much as we have people that don't believe in God, I would say we don't need more religious people. We need wiser people. Even among Christians, there's a lack of wisdom, both for our private individual lives and for our collective social life. If you take a brief look at how people take stands on contemporary issues in the social media, you may be convinced of how much wisdom we lack in our relationships today. So this call to wisdom, to wise living, it's a continuous, constant call, and that we need to heed and follow. But verses 24 and 27 shows another aspect of this, which is the refusal to this call. And what happens to those who refuse? The truth is that not everybody desires the way or the counsel of wisdom. Some will refuse deliberately. And this passage describes those who refuse as the simple ones. And what it means by that are those who, like Proverbs 14:15 says, the simple believe everything. It's a person who does not have discernment. It does not have to do with their social position, as simple as we usually refer to people that are lower level socially. This is not what it says in Proverbs. Proverbs calls the simple ones those who have no discernment. The simple ones are very easy prey of fake news, and probably are the ones that contribute to spreading fake news without considering the facts. Or those who will believe and pass on the information and get impressed by certain informations that they get. They don't discern, they don't process, They don't reflect upon the information or the knowledge that they receive. So the refuser means to follow the way of the fool. Those people will only seek the Lord when they are desperate, when calamity comes over them. And what's going to happen then? God will not listen to them. People who follow their own natural desires and instincts go down the path of self-destruction. The Bible has many examples of this kind of people. And like verse 32 says, the waywardness kills the simple, and the complacency of the fools destroy them. Wisdom is everywhere, crying out in the streets, the squares, the busiest corners, the city gates, the public arena. It's a saying that you can find if you pay attention. It's there. It does not depend on a special revelation or a vision from above. If you fear the Lord, you can see and hear in your daily walk and relationships the teachings of wisdom. So, in a sense, there's no excuse for refusing the way of wisdom. And verse 23 and 33 tells us of the outcome of this call. Verse 23 says, "Give heed to my reproof. I will pour out my thoughts to you. I will make my words known to you." So if we give heed to the reproof of wisdom, we are given the thoughts and the words of wisdom. By contrast, verse 33 tells us that those who listen to me, verse 33 confirms that those who listen to me will be secure and will live at ease without dread of disaster. So Proverbs and some of the Psalms of wisdom, teaches that our choices have a direct impact on the outcomes of our lives. Actually, the contrast made between the righteous and the wicked is so emphatic that it frequently is understood as a relation of cause and effect. That is, if you seek the Lord, meditate in his law, all will go well. If you don't, life will be trouble after trouble. Looking in this perspective, we could say that there are two kinds of people in the world: the wise and the fool. The wise will be successful in all they do. The fool will perish. And it's true that many times wisdom literature like Proverbs and some of the Psalms stressed this reality. However, the Bible also teaches us that the wise can also suffer, get sick, have hard times, and die. We see the story of Job in the Bible. We see the Psalms of Lament in the Psalms. It says how the psalmist or the individual or the community struggles with this teaching. If I seek wisdom, if I'm righteous, why am I suffering? So this may raise the question, so what's the advantage of wisdom? Well, it's precisely this. Wisdom is not some sort of insurance against adversities or calamities, some guarantee that if you fear the Lord and you seek his his wisdom, you will be free from all sorts of trouble. Wisdom gives us direction and guidance to go through our life's challenges. He gives us wisdom in how to navigate or go through all the difficulties that we go through in life. Wisdom pours out her thoughts to us, make her words known to us. Those who listen will be secure and live at ease without fear. So the outcome of heeding to the reproof of wisdom is to be secure and to live at ease without dread. Not without calamities, but without the dread of calamities. We see today in many aspects that the world is so polarized, divided. You can hardly debate an issue, whether it be political, religious, social, without engaging in some even personal conflict with other people, even with friends. This shows that we need wisdom from above in our relationships, in our godly living, in our professional work. We need to heed to the call of wisdom. Wisdom is what is going to make us able to apply our knowledge of God in times of trouble. May God bless us and may us heed to this call of wisdom. And God bless you.